Is your board aligned on risk? A science-based approach to better board performance, a publication of the DCRO Institute.
An environment of value creation. For an organization to thrive in pursuit of its goals, risk-taking is essential. For an organization to take those risks effectively, its board must function optimally to determine and communicate its risk-taking objectives and risk tolerance. The full benefits of positive risk-taking in this aligned and trusting environment include deeper collaboration, increased creativity, and accelerated innovation. In other words, an environment that leads to value creation.
But what if stated risk tolerances are not the ones really held by directors? What if actual preferences are hidden deep in our subconscious and only clearly revealed under duress or deeper analysis? A lack of clarity regarding individual risk preferences among board members can create surprising conflict in the boardroom, challenge consensus, and potentially slow an organization's progress toward new opportunities that maintain a competitive advantage. In other words, an environment that leads to underperformance or, even worse, value destruction.
Board risk preference reports identify whether the environment exists as it appears or even as desired. What is the board's true risk preference? Understanding risk at the board level requires knowing each director's true risk preferences, how the organization deploys those directors across crucial board committees, and any gaps, conflicts, or misalignments with the purpose of each board committee. We also need to know if, collectively, the board's risk preference aligns with the stated corporate attitude on risk, which some call a risk appetite. This is critical to building the ever-important environment of trust. Individual board member assessments on risk preference cut across a spectrum that includes the influence of emotions and cognition. Directors find their place among 8 risk personality types: intense, wary, prudent, deliberate, composed, adventurous, carefree, and excitable, or in the middle of all so-called axis members, who are particularly good at bringing together diverse attitudes and opinions. This risk compass is the product of an impressive group of behavioral psychologists and informs the DCRO Risk Governance Institute's guidance to boards enrolled in its program.
One director's risk misalignment can impact the work of the entire board. For a board of directors, differences in attitudes toward risk can change decision-making, culture, and interpersonal relationships. Risk personality traits have the power to affect an entire group dynamic. They may be revealed through conflict or lack of progress, but identified as originating from other sources. Imagine, for example, a board composed of directors who are the risk types excitable and carefree. These directors likely get invigorated by big ideas and visionary concepts. They may be more embracing of risk and more eager to make decisions quickly. But now, imagine one director on this board who is a wary risk type. This director may feel fearful, even irritated at the other's excitement. They are likely to approach risk decisions with much more caution and deliberation. This individual will feel like they are climbing a mountain when working with the excitable directors. It's easy to see that this mix of risk types may lead to friction and frustration. Or consider a director of the prudent risk type, who wants to approach risk in an exacting, planful manner, serving on an innovation committee. This may not be the best committee to optimize this director's gifts for planning and proceeding with caution. They may be better leveraged, for example, on the audit committee.
A science-based approach to board risk. What is the appropriate balance of risk for what we're trying to achieve? What is a director's mindset toward risk, and how does that synchronize with the corporation's appetite for risk-taking? What is the mix of risk mindsets across the board and committees? Is one committee overly conservative, while another committee is overly carefree? Are the right people on the right committees? These are the questions boards must consider in committing to positively and effectively govern risk-taking, to set an example, and to inspire performance. What we know is that risk personality types typically do not change, and often they are hidden or believed to be different than they are by their holders. Risk preferences are part of the neuroscience of the brain. the perception of risk and uncertainty buried deep in our conscious and subconscious decision-making. Since there is no way to change the fundamental attitudes toward risk that each individual brings to the discussion, having advanced insight into hidden attitudes towards risk empowers a board to drive greater alignment and better performance in the future. When these preferences reveal themselves under duress, it is too late for a board seeking resiliency. The time to gain insight is now, even before you recruit new board members or make committee assignments. A diversity of mindset empowers boards. While it is now common to consider board qualifications, gender and ethnic diversity, functional expertise, and even emotional intelligence in a board recruitment or refresh process, taking a director's appetite for risk into account offers a different and powerful insight. It allows board chairs and nom-gov committees to go beyond more common qualifications to consider how an entire board may collaborate, as it now stands, and with changes that come when onboarding a new member. Board risk preference reports offer insights into how one director's perception of risk may complement or interfere with the broader board's mindset. These reports not only answer questions about alignment, but also help boards embrace a diversity of thought and promote more robust collaboration. They can change how we approach board refresh, director recruitment, and how boards interact with senior management.
Case study: Risk preferences and board effectiveness. The issue. Board members for a high-profile organization came from a wide variety of professional backgrounds and industries and included a lawyer, pilot, and finance director with backgrounds in education, manufacturing, and human capital consultancy. Following the appointment of new board members, significantly contrasting opinions within the group were beginning to create issues. Perceptions of risk to the business and what was deemed acceptable varied considerably. A lack of understanding of how other board members viewed and approached key business objectives meant that arriving at a consensus decision was difficult. Decision-making was in danger of becoming time-consuming and arduous. The solution: board members completed the risk preferences assessment, and a group session was arranged to discuss the results. It became clear that, even at this level of experience and responsibility, it can be difficult to appreciate just how varied people's attitudes to risk can be, or to gauge one's own risk disposition relative to others. In this situation, opposing views may be interpreted as contentious or even willfully obstructive. The group session facilitated a good debate and opened positive discussions around risk personalities and how these dispositions influence each board member's view of business risk. The results. Board members developed an appreciation of the potential for individual biases in the perception of risk. Even when presented with the same data, not everyone has the same outlook regarding potential risks, and different people may come to very different conclusions. Reflecting on the group results has helped to highlight how people are influenced considerably by their predisposition to risk, engendering different but legitimate viewpoints. With the clarifications, including strengths and potential blind spots, communication was improved and differences were better understood. Case study: Poor communication and lack of innovation. The issue. A leading global manufacturing company was concerned with its senior corporate risk team due to intra-team conflict, ineffective communication with the wider organization, and lack of innovation. This long-standing team had recently been restructured, with new members recruited to more senior roles to help bring positive changes to the risk management function. This new structure exacerbated an already difficult situation and was beginning to cause major conflict within the team. This intervention was part of a long-term change program to improve relationships within the team and also improve communication between risk managers and senior management throughout the organization. The solution: the team completed the risk preferences assessment. Risk preference convergence, group factions, and the dominant influence were deciphered and conclusions drawn. There were 3 distinct factions: those clustering around the excitable intense types, the adventurous types, and a group in the axial category. The adventurous types, predominantly senior members and more recently recruited to the team, are self-confident freethinkers. willing to embrace innovation and take risks. The long-term, more traditional members tended to be more cautious and ambivalent about risk, any enthusiasm and excitability being tempered by anxiety and apprehension. This conservatism was potentially in conflict with the on-the-fly, innovative approach of the more recent team members and a source of tension. The response to the analysis was very positive. Participants could appreciate how everyone brings their own unique risk perspective to the table, perspectives that were complementary rather than right or wrong. The growing appreciation of diversity in risk perception, decision-making, and communication styles helped reduce existing tensions. The team gained a better understanding of the newly appointed leader, offering some foundation as to why his decision-making style and approach are so different. It also helped to open more effective communication lines.
Getting started. The process of discovery is surprisingly easy to begin. Each board member engages in an online assessment that takes about 20 minutes to complete. Once every board member finishes the assessment, board leadership meets with the DCRO Risk Governance Institute to review the initial results. A second discussion with the DCRO Risk Governance Institute of the learnings from that meeting focuses on helping board leadership plan ways to address potential conflict. The goal: drive positive risk-taking in every decision, including ensuring that the right directors are serving on the right committees to optimize the risk-taking process.
Understanding dispositions towards risk is a highly valuable step toward ensuring your board can have meaningful conversations about change and discover perspectives and attitudes towards risk that are likely to lead to greater innovation and greater resilience in the face of crisis or challenge. Adding a qualified risk director with complementary risk preferences can enhance whole board performance, but you have to know the existing board members' preferences to make the right add. A board's risk profile provides enormous advantages for boards. Boards with full insight into risk preferences across each director are well positioned to align on goals and drive a culture of strategic risk-taking. Understanding the full breadth of each director's risk disposition sets the foundation for realizing these benefits. Risks are not going away. We live in a dynamic and more frequently surprising business and geopolitical climate. Knowing that your board has the right mix of risk attitudes that align with both committee duties and the overall corporate attitude toward risk in advance makes it more likely that you'll respond to opportunities and surprises in the most effective way. For more information, please visit our website at www.dcroi.org or schedule a consultation to discuss your questions and specific situation.